Greetings, front true believers! This is Modular Media's No Prize Podcast. I am your host, Chris, a Boingo writer, Gaston, and with me, as always, in the bullpen,
representing the most distinguished competition possible, the Vacuuminator is here.
hello, hey, howdy, howdy. This is No Prize Podcast, where we talk comics and the movies and merchandise that comes from them.
But not anymore. Now this is a fucking DC podcast now. I've taken over everybody.
Back, did you not hear what I said?
What?
It's just a comics podcast. I'm not saying Marvel anymore.
Oh, me lie.
I mean, the framing device is still No Prize, which is very much a Marvel invention, but we've been talking about DC a lot, and I've been reading a lot more DC books, and you read both. And fuck it, why not?
I also found out like a week or two ago, I've been meaning to tell you, there's another No Prize podcast on YouTube?
No.
We should have like a feud with those guys.
Do they have a hyphen?
I don't know.
Because we have a hyphen.
We do have a hyphen. We have that going for us.
That makes us
We're
10 times
live.
better. That makes us 10 times better because we have a hyphen.
We have the name Modular Media attached to us.
You do know.
Honestly, we're just better in every way.
You do realize that's why Spider-Man has a hyphen.
Yeah.
Because when Stan Lee came up with the character, he was afraid that the name would visually look too much like Superman. So he put a hyphen in there to make it look visually different.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, fuck those guys. We're better than them in every possible way. And if you don't agree, then sound off in the comments. Get us that engagement, folks.
All right, cool.
I don't actually know that. I haven't even watched an episode. I just noticed them while looking up the show the other day.
That's fair. But we have a lot of things to talk about this episode. We have a lot of things to go over.
It's been a heck of a week.
Yep. But first things first, we gotta talk about something. We gotta talk about a little gorilla guy. Look at that little gorilla guy.
Look at that little gorilla guy. Look at him go. Look at that cool little monkey man.
Look at him go. I bet he would love
that scamp.
I bet he would love a banana.
Yeah, I bet he's big into bananas.
Big banana boy.
I don't know about Grodd though. I'm sure James Gunn is a huge fan of bananas. I'm not sure about Grodd.
But yeah, no, Justice League, The Brave and the Bold, episodes 14 and 15?
Yes. I gotta admit, I have no idea why these episodes are called The Brave and the Bold.
I looked
it up. Grodd did not debut in Brave and the Bold. He debuted in Flash. He is straight up a Flash villain.
I have an idea why. The Brave and the Bold is a name often associated with DC's sillier times. And it's in this episode, these two episodes are very much like a tribute to those wacky times in the 50s and the late 50s.
In the 50s and the late 50s, okay.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, it's specifically the late 50s.
Yeah, the Silver Age.
Yeah.
We have a term for that in comic fandom, you know.
But, like, for example, Flash's entire, like, dream sequence.
Oh, yeah, which was fucking great, by the way. One of the best parts of the episode.
Because, like, all of those are just references to, like, Silver Age covers.
Yeah, this whole episode, honestly, is really good. It's one of the best ones so far, I would say. And I hadn't seen it in forever, so I completely forgot how, like, this is where we really start getting a feel for Wally's character in this show, and we start showing, like, the more, the versatility of this DC universe beyond just Batman and Superman and slight cosmic stuff. It really feels like they're stretching their legs here and actually having some fun.
We also get basically an entire episode dedicated to two characters. Of just Flash and just Green Lantern, and just really, like, examining their dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, the others show up. There's stuff with other people except Superman for some reason. That's like my one pet peeve with this episode. Superman never shows up, and they never mention why he doesn't. I don't mind you not using Superman for the meta reason of he's too strong, he'd solve all the problems, but like give a throwaway line of like he's helping out with a natural disaster and he said to only call him if it's really important or something.
I didn't mind.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a really good little focus for John and Wally, and I like juxtaposing them. You're juxtaposing the most serious member of the team with the silliest member of the team, and it really works in a very buddy cop fashion.
Yeah, and it's also like, for lack of a better way of describing it, it's a younger sibling, older brother relationship. Of stop goofing around, please. We need to do this, and it's like, come on, I'm your peer, and it's like, no, I'm kind of I have a little bit more experience, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Also, my goofing around is also there's a method to my madness.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of little great things in here. The gorillas are animated so well.
Yeah, I love their kind of standard gorilla design that they use for the Gorilla City characters in this show. They don't crop up a whole lot more. Grodd will become like a more overarching villain. That little stinger does pay off later. But for now, this is like their one big appearance, and it's done really well. Gorilla City, probably one of the best renderings of it I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. It's a really interesting concept. It's also just interesting that it's just like, oh, we're gonna have weird hidden cities in our comic book universes, and both of them create Atlantis. All right, cool. Atlantis makes sense. It makes sense to have an Atlantis, you know.
Mm-hmm. There's Kunlun in the Marvel universe.
There's Kunlun. There's Wakanda. There's the Attilan.
Mm-hmm.
Which is on the moon. And then you go and look over at DC, and it's just like, we have a bunch of gorillas.
They're just hanging out. They're just doing their thing. Don't worry about them.
They're a political entity to the superheroes, but no one else.
Yep.
It's a fascinating little like hallmark of when DC built a lot of its lore. Because to me, like, DC built a lot of its lore in the 50s and the 70s. Like, those two time periods, that's like when DC became like DC as we know it.
That was where a lot of the modern building blocks come from, yeah.
And like Marvel is very much like the 60s, and I'd say like some of the 70s and the 90s. Like 60s, 80s, 90s. That's when Marvel really kind of defined who Marvel is.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to see like the hallmarks of like, yeah, we just were like doing a lot of funny gorilla stories. So gorillas just kind of stuck around. They're here. They're part of the world.
They're just chilling. Except for Grodd. He's the one shithead.
I absolutely love the basically the detective gorilla. Is he a character in the comics?
He's a reoccurring character. He's
Hell yeah.
It's him, the leader, whose name is I can't remember at the moment, and Grodd. Those are like the free Gorilla City residents that always show up and stuff.
I fucking love him because he's just a cop who's done and tired with all this shit.
Yeah, he's just like, I gotta deal with these fucking hairless idiots. Oh my god.
But they all learn to respect the superheroes, and it's just like, hey, you actually helped us. Thanks. Mm-hmm. Sorry we gave you a hard time. It's like, no, you're isolationist, weird country. It makes sense.
Yeah, I love how the gorilla cop ends up being more helpful than the actual cops in this fucking episode.
Political satire.
Did Barack Obama show up? He's my favorite. No, Barack Obama was not in this episode. This is not that episode of CW.
He's a Marvel character. He showed up.
I know what you're talking about. This is not that episode of CW Flash. This is good DC content.
Um. Oh, there's the little hints at the ship that DC will never acknowledge and never wants to acknowledge, that a whole
Beyond
generation.
this show, this is the very beginning of it in this show, and it'll
It
pop up
only appears
more.
in this show.
And to this day, because this show was my foundational inspiration for DC, I still kind of ship it.
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing. I wouldn't say contemporary comics Bruce Wayne and Diana work as a couple.
Hmm.
Nah, it just doesn't feel right. But DC animated,
Foundationally in this universe, it feels right.
it's like Hercules and both.
Because they don't make a big thing out of any of Bruce's love interests from the comics in the animated universe, and I don't think Steve Trevor ever appears in this universe.
It's weird how like I know cognizantly that he's a major part of like Super Wonder Woman continuity and lore, but like I cannot tell you a single thing about him.
He's a military guy. He's a good guy. He deals with a lot of government bullshit on the superheroes' behalves, and he's constantly in awe of his 7 foot tall, super muscular girlfriend.
Yeah. I mean,
So really, he's living the dream.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a good episode. That was a solid little episode. Fun goof adventure.
Yeah.
Just good little goofs. And look at that cheeky little gorilla grin.
Look at him.
Look at him.
Look at that mischievous boy. There is one thing about this episode that I do want to point out before we move on, which is just that little ending comment from the Flash after they beat Grodd, and the lady says she was actually in love with him, and Flash goes, internet relationships, go figure. Ooh, that dated the episode bad.
I mean, not really. You never know who you're gonna find on Tinder.
That's true, but still, that's we barely know what this is, but it's topical and it'll be funny to put it in there, kind of a joke. And I'm like,
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Because they did set it up of like, oh, they were communicating through email correspondence.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Oh man, remember back when every like TV show had to have a cautionary tale episode about fucking chain emails? That was a different time in the world.
That lady wanted to fuck a gorilla.
She sure did.
She sure did.
And those girls wanted to fuck the Flash as soon as they realized he was actually a superhero.
As soon as they realized, oh, wait a second, he's not just all shit, he's like actually a good guy. Oh,
don't judge a book by its cover, kids.
Hey, know what?
Hey.
We're gonna judge a book by its cover. Tell me about the movie Legion of Superheroes.
Yay! I watched this because it came out this week or last week or the week. I don't know. It came out fairly recently,
came out sometime
in the last like few weeks. We talked about the announcements and like the trailers for this, and I said I was kind of interested in it because it seemed to be another project that heavily featured Supergirl, and it's all right. It's not the worst one of these I've seen, but it's also nowhere near the best. Because a lot of the actual Legion of Superheroes stuff isn't that interesting, and they don't get a ton of characterization. It's very interesting how they handle it. I mean, I'm not super familiar with the Legion myself. I've read a few appearances of them, but this presents it as very much like there's an upper echelon and then there's an in-training team, and that's what Kara is stuck on at the beginning of this. And that's where a lot of the story takes place. And the main Legion characters that you know, like Saturn Girl and whatnot, they don't show up until like the very end of the movie to help out. So that was a little weird, but I did like the characters we got to know. I honestly think this is probably the best written Supergirl Brainiac 5 romance I've ever seen. It's still not great. I still don't fully buy it, but it's not completely out of left field. We're bending Supergirl's character backwards to make it work with this for some reason, like a lot of these versions are. The twist with Mon-El was fairly interesting. I like this take on original Brainiac actually quite a bit. That was a fun addition to the movie. However, I will say just like the animation and a lot of the voice acting doesn't hit. I'm not an expert, so I couldn't say for sure, but it looks like puppet animation, and it doesn't look like a whole lot of effort is going into it. It looks very slapdash, in my opinion. Not like there's clear errors or anything, just not a lot of actual movement going on, and expressions are few and far between, and a lot of the voices feel miscast. I like the person they chose for Supergirl and for Brainiac 5 and Mon-El and a couple of the other lower Legionnaires. The Batman is okay, but the Superman seems really off. A lot of the other Legionnaires just seem like a voice thrown at a character model without a lot of thought. And original Brainiac just kind of feels like dark, scary monster man to me. But that's just me as a casual animation observer. I'm not a hardcore who knows this kind of stuff. Overall, I'd say if you're already planning to check it out, it is worth your time, but it's not something you should go out of your way for.
Okay. Mono's the guy who's like lead is his weakness, right?
Yeah, he's a Daxamite, not a Kryptonian. He's actually not originally of the L family. He, I think in most versions of the comics and in this movie, he changed his name because he was a Superman fanboy.
Oh. Legion of Superheroes is where the guy Matter Eater Lad is from, right?
Yep, Matter Eater Lad, Arm Fall Off Boy, Triplicate Girl, they're all here. They all make cameos.
Okay. So, it's time, I believe, to talk a little bit about some news.
Oh boy, what a newsy week.
So let's get the simpler stuff out of the way first.
A little bit of Marvel MCU news for you real quick.
Yeah, let's get those guys out of the way. First things first, we got a fun little bit of promotion. Scott Lang's fucking autobiography you can buy now. You can read the in-universe Scott Lang biography.
Did Paul Rudd do an audiobook? Because it looked like he was recording one in the ad, but I never saw it anywhere.
I don't know.
I'm going to check Audible right now. We're going to do a live check on the podcast.
About the author, Scott Lang is a scientist and inventor with a master's degrees in electrical engineering. He has been an ice cream scooper, a corporate whistleblower, a consultant for the Pim Van Dyne Foundation, and an Avenger. He lives in San Francisco.
It does not appear to be on Audible, so I don't know if they did an audiobook for it, but I would imagine if they did, it would have been released on Audible. This is fun. This is a fun idea, a fun promotional thing. I imagine it's entirely like bullshit written by some low-level desk writer.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't mind giving it like a quick listen if it was on Audible. I don't think I'm gonna like buy it and sit down and read it though.
It depends on how long it is. If it's like if like in-depth, like how a memoir tends to be written, sure. But overall, it's a cute little bit of promotion for Quantumania. It's a nice idea. Stunt. Yeah. And for Ant-Man, like, Ant-Man has been banger with its, like, advertising stunts.
I love that the video where Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas are just slapping their knees and going ants over and over again. that resurfaced like a week ago, and that made me smile.
It's such a dumb, lovely little fucking ad. Goddamn, it's fun. But it's a cute idea. And the world could use more cute ideas.
Yeah. So have some ideas, you cuties.
Yeah. Marvel's Wonder Man series sets the Spectacular Now director James Ponsoldt.
Yeah, Wonder Man has a director. It's one step closer to getting made.
Hell yeah.
I honestly know nothing about the Spectacular Now, so I don't know if this guy has a good pedigree or anything like that. But I tend to just kind of sit back and trust these things until they release because I don't really follow directors or like new up and coming actors or anything like that. We'll talk about it a little later, but there was something where I was trying to think of how I would cast something this week, and I was like, shit, I don't know any like newer actors. I only know like a few big names that have surfaced in the last few years.
Yeah. Especially if you want to be like more international with your casting, and you don't, and like the most international cinema you watch is tokusatsu. So it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of Japanese actors. Can't name them. I know
Yeah.
of them.
The guy who played Hidari Shotaro in Kamen Rider Double, he should totally be Silver Samurai.
uh, no, you know,
That
be
was
the
a complete joke. Nobody take that out of context and
no,
think
you
I'm
know, who'd be
serious.
a great person to do it because Silver Samurai is often an older guy.
Uh,
Get the guy who
friggin'
played Takeshi Hongo. I can't remember his real name.
Hiroshi Fujioka.
Get Hiroshi to play Silver Samurai.
Yeah, I mean he's still acting. He'll still jump at anything for a paycheck, so he'd
And I
probably
mean,
do it.
and just go like, hey, you are an old, tough Showa era son of a bitch. That's the
And
character.
and he'll just be like, "So I'm not acting then, okay?"
No, you're evil this time.
Like,
Oh, okay.
don't forget, Hiroshi I always almost screw up his last name. Hiroshi Fujioka once showed up to a press conference or like a mall opening or something like that he was contracted to appear at in full samurai armor and just started screaming about how the birth rate in Japan was on the decline and how all the guys needed to man up and start making babies. That was a
Oh,
real fucking thing he did once.
oh, Jesus.
Hmm.
Uh, so you ready to talk about the things that you just really, really want to talk about?
Time to get down to brass tacks, boys.
So a little man named James Gunnathan, um,
Jimothy Gunnington.
Jimmy Thin, Gun the Glock.
the
Mr. AK-47 himself released a bunch of
little shooty. Little shooty came
little
out.
shooty bang bang basically came and said like, hey, we can't give you any specifics, but we can give you the projects that we've kind of greenlit.
Yeah, he's been saying since he took over that they were working on an 8 to 10 year slate, and that by the end of January they would reveal some of it, the beginnings of it. And that's pretty much what this was. This was like an 8 minute video of him running down a lot of what is coming and how things are going to work moving forward with DC Studios. So what we're going to do, because a lot of information was in this. I was expecting to hear like the Superman movie and maybe two other things out of this, but instead we got a fuck ton of information.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually written out bullet point by bullet point what is in this video, and we're gonna kind of just go through it piece by piece and work our way through each talking point. I don't know how long we're gonna be here, but we're gonna fucking break this shit down because oh boy, this stirred up some conversation and we need to get in on it.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, Gunn stated that it is his and Safran's main job to make sure that the DCU is connected in film, TV, animation, and gaming moving forward. Basically saying like, yes, we are co-Kevin Feige. That is what our job description is. That is how being co-CEO of DC Studios works. For anybody who didn't already get that, there's your clarification. We're in charge of overseeing shit.
And it's always been framed as James Gunn is like the creative side, and Safran's much more of the business side.
Mm-hmm. Though clearly they both have influence on both sides.
Yeah, no, but it's more of like, hey, James, you're the writer director. Do you think this is a good idea? I believe this is a good idea. Do you think it'll work business wise? And work together to create a synthesized idea.
Definitely. And then the next thing was all characters will be consistent moving forward, played by the same actors and part of the same story moving forward in both film and animation. And this is one of the things that kind of stirred some people up. I saw a lot of animation fans getting up in arms saying like, hey, there's a very specific skill set you need to be a voice actor that not all film actors have. This could be disastrous. And I'm like, hey, I get you, but I've seen actors cross back and forward plenty of times, and I think they would have a good enough casting department that they know what they were doing here.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think this is a good decision in the long run because I see where they're coming from here. They want things to be consistent. That was a big word that was used here. We're going to try and make things consistent moving forward so that general audiences can be clued in as much as possible to the fact that this is all connected. This is one story. You're not going to get sort of the confusion of average Joe public has about like, is this Batman movie a sequel to the last Batman movie I saw?
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem DC has had in the past of like things like, for example, the Superman movie from like the mid-aughts had a Bruce
Superman
Wayne,
Returns.
Superman Returns had it had a Wayne Enterprises satellite, and like,
oh no, that's Man of Steel.
That is Man of Steel. I could have sworn it was that too.
No, there's a Wayne Enterprises satellite and a truck
okay.
in Man of Steel, and that was specifically to set up Batman v Superman. Snyder later said.
Okay. Well, there were probably some references in Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Green Lantern was supposed to be the start of a universe. People forget that. That's why Amanda Waller was in that movie.
There's still, I would say, there's still confusion over the Burton Schneider verse.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Schumacher, not Schneider. Schumacher, Jesus. Schumacher. His name's Schumacher.
I still think the Burton and Schumacher films are all one series, but I also don't think it's that huge of a deal. So the next big thing was going forward, Matt Reeves' The Batman, which the sequel is now confirmed as The Batman Part 2, no subtitle. Todd Phillips' Joker and Teen Titans Go and other things in that vein that are not part of the DCU story will be labeled as DC Elseworlds.
Thank God someone's using that fucking branding.
I fucking love this, honestly, because it seems like such a simple little way to delineate things for average Joe public that ties into classic DC iconography and just makes it all work so much better. It's not, we have to force these things together. It's, these things can still exist. You can still do what you want with DC properties if you have a good idea, but we got to make it clear it's not part of the big ongoing story.
Like, I wouldn't mind if they had two DC opening logos. There's the DC for the cinematic universe, and then there's the DC Elseworlds, and it starts off as like the DC logo, and then like a blinding light comes in, and it's the meteor from Elseworlds.
Yeah, I'm actually really expecting that to happen going forward. Like I think future movies should have like a DC Studios logo that transitions into either a DCU logo or a DC Elseworlds logo.
And that would work. And you know what? This is just because it's interesting. It's fascinating how this approach really like actually reflects how both Marvel and DC have treated those kind of side stories in their comics publications. Because What If has always been like cheap, disposable, one and done issues. It doesn't fucking matter. That's where we put the new guys. It's where we put the dumb. It's a silly idea. It's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And DC always goes like, no. These are independent stories in and of themselves. They deserve the time and respect that, that they deserve. And that's the difference between What If and Elseworlds. And it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Elseworlds is more of like a thought experiment, whereas What If is just asking a silly question about an already existing story.
And oftentimes, everything ends in destruction.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's a big block of text I have to read.
Okay.
The next year of the DCU will include Shazam, Fury of the Gods, which I put like later things that happened where they're relevant. So Gunn later stated on Twitter that while he does not agree with Zachary Levi's controversial tweet from last week, it will not affect plans moving forward at the moment. The Flash will come after that, which Gunn called in the video a fantastic film, maybe the best superhero movie ever made. It will reset a lot of the DC universe moving forward. However, Gunn said the entire universe in this part of the statement, and I think that was a poor choice of words because people really jumped on him for some stuff that comes later in the statement. Really, The Flash is gonna end in a classic DC reboot where we're getting rid of all the shit that doesn't work and we're bringing in new shit that we're excited about. DC is always rebooted like that. It's nothing new.
How much money do you want to put down on that they're gonna do the Infinite Earths visual of just like Earth somewhere in the movie?
I would love that, but I'm not expecting it.
Okay.
Where was I going? Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, like, people have been saying, like, oh, it's confusing that you're gonna keep Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, but you're gonna recast Superman and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, bitch, I got into comics right before the New 52. If I can deal with a whole fucking new DC universe, except for Jeff Johns' Green Lantern and Grant Morrison's Batman, which are still happening right over there, you can deal with this shit.
Also, Scott Snyder's Batman, too.
Yeah. They were going on at the same time for a little bit there. Oh, what a wild world. Safran also later stated that DC Studios believes Ezra Miller is committed to their recovery, and thus, when they're ready to have the discussion, the door is open for them to have a return as Barry Allen, which to me reads as very nice political studio speak of, look, they're trying, but if they fuck up again, they're out.
Also, we're technically not allowed to fire them due to the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah, that's like literally a law. So
yeah, it's in the contracts that if you are signed to a long-term project and you go into rehab, you are not allowed to be fired from the Screen Actors Guild. So
then we have Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 will kick off the new DCU status quo post The Flash. And James Wan, who directed Aquaman 1 and 2, later stated on his Twitter that they are still planning to make an Aquaman 3 because it was always intended to be a trilogy.
Yeah, and Aquaman seems to be like one of the brighter spots for the DC movies as of so far.
Yeah.
Other than the woman, I can't remember her name.
Oh, I can't remember his name. Jesus Christ.
Johnny Depp's ex.
Johnny Depp's shitty spouse.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why Ben Affleck's also still on tap to do something if he wants to.
Yeah, that's another thing they said later on Twitter, which I was going to talk about when we got to the Batman.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. No, we'll get to that when we get to that. I just Aki said it, and I wanted to mention it.
Okay, so that was all one wall of text we just went into. The coming
one
like, year
Amanda
and a half
Waller
of
of
DC
text.
Movies. Ha 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 ha! Jesus Christ. That's like the next year and a half of DC releases we have to look forward to. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman 2. That all has to come out before Gunn's new stuff can start surfacing. So what they talked about next was Gunn said that he and Safran have built a writer's room consisting of Drew Goddard, Jeremy Slater, Christina Hudson, Crystal Henry, and Tom King. Moving forward, that group is going to be mapping out an 8 to 10 year slate of future projects and beyond, with an emphasis on the writers having their own voice for each project and being the main creative force. Though Safran later stated that the schedule is flexible, as they do not want anything that isn't at least close to having a completed script to go into production. Which, holy crap, that is weirdly relieving. Mm-hmm. With how slipshod and all over the place production has been for Warner Brothers' DC projects in the last few years, hearing that they are committed to giving writers, not directors, but writers, which is almost unheard of in Hollywood, the creative voice, and saying that we are going to focus on making sure the script is good and completed before we put something into production. Hearing that from a major studio these days is almost unheard of. Like that kind of public promise. So I am very excited about that.
And here's the thing I'll say as a Marvel fan. Marvel can get away with a lot of like rough scripts because it started off with no script. Iron Man didn't have a script.
Yeah, Iron Man was like mostly improv, right?
Iron Man was mostly improv, and I'd say like the way that Marvel kind of structured everything they did is very much more improv focused. It's very much like we'll set up like 10 different things and we'll play with 5 of them and we'll make it so good that they don't recognize that we'll tell a joke to ignore the other 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Aki, it's not likely that they'll be in a new universe. Gunn literally said they are part of the new universe.
Yeah. And you know what? Having Blue Beetle be like a major first step into a new universe, I think is a brilliant idea. He is a young super character that a lot of people really connect to, a lot of people love, dedicated fan base. Like, you got your Spider-Man right off the gate. Good job, DC.
I am cautiously optimistic about the decision. I've always been one of those people who says, like, one of the dumbest things about Smallville is that the third Blue Beetle shows up before Superman becomes Superman. But given the way they're playing things in this universe, I think they could actually make it work here.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm just saying, like, purely from a like, what do you need for a comic book universe? The young, energetic hero that connects to a large audience, brilliant. Having him out first.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay, so all that was a thing. 8 to 10 year slate is what they're planning. Mm-hmm. Gunn then said that Chapter 1, not Phase 1, is called Gods and Monsters, and all of the projects that were announced in this video are part of that first chapter, not the entire slate. And given that that's an 8 to 10 year slate, and all of the stuff that they announced in here, I think we might have more DC releases to talk about on the show going forward than Marvel.
Very much so, and I also think I think this is just like the first 4 years of the 8-year slate.
You
know, this feels very much of like first steps, concepts, ideas. And Aki, I have to disagree with you. I love Thor: Love and Thunder. I genuinely enjoy that movie. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, what I would say is like, sometimes you get Iron Man, sometimes you get Iron Man 2.
Though I like Iron Man 2. I think
Iron Man 2 is good, but Thor: The Dark World.
Thor: The Dark World.
Thor: The Dark World.
If there's one thing every Marvel fan can agree on, it's that Thor: The Dark World sucked.
Thor: The Dark World is a great 10-minute opening for Thor Ragnarok. Edit it down 10 minutes and put it at the beginning of Thor Ragnarok, and you got a good Dark World.
I like the bit where Asgard gets invaded and Thor's mom gets killed, and then they break Loki out of prison. Literally that 20-minute chunk of the movie is all I like.
Iron Man 2 also had Disney's interference, because it wanted to deal with the dark side of alcoholism. Yeah, that's another big just about Marvel MCU stuff.
I've always heard that wasn't true. I've heard Favreau say multiple times that they finished shooting the movie before Disney bought Marvel.
Yeah, but there might be just like they didn't want to deal with alcoholism in its entirety because of how family friendly the first Iron Man kind of became.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can understand it, not necessarily like Disney on high doing it, but like the quote unquote Disneyfication of entertainment.
Entirely possible, but
as I was saying, is it feels very much of like this is like the first couple of, this is saying Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and without mentioning an Avengers, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Kinda, but there's also a lot of supporting stuff building around it, and we'll get into that real quick before we move on from this bullet point. I do want to say, usually I am very against like film and animation using chapter as a way to define chunks of their story. Like that is my least favorite thing about The Mandalorian, is that episodes are called chapters for some reason. It always comes off as so pompous to me. However, here with the approach they're giving this of like writers have the creative control and it's much more about exploring this universe as one ongoing story, I kind of feel like it's justified.
Yeah. And here's the thing I would also say about just like, sometimes a chapter makes more sense if it's like a direct, the end of this episode goes right into the beginning of the next one, like the chapter of a book.
Mm-hmm. But rarely that is the thing. Like, Mando has a lot of standalone episodes. Another thing that does that, Avatar The Last Airbender, my least favorite thing about Avatar The Last Airbender is that they use that terminology.
Do we know
because a lot of those episodes are standalone.
Do we know if Peacemaker is back? Probably.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
Right now, the first project they actually announced for Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters is Creature Commandos, which is going to be an animated series written entirely by Gunn and is going to be based on the New 52 Frankenstein Agent of Shade book. However, it will also feature characters from the Suicide Squad. They actually showed concept art from this, which featured characters from that Frankenstein book, as well as a couple of very minor The Suicide Squad characters, like the rodent character
Weasel.
Weasel, which was played by Sean Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not super jazzed about that, but I like the idea there that you're starting with something very odd and off the beaten path. You're starting in animation rather than live action. And you're also partially building off of something recent and something people will kind of be familiar with.
And I also think it's like, for lack of a better way of describing it, it's a low, not effort, it's a low risk kind of like toe into the pool of like, here's the, plus it's animation, so they can like reference a lot more things and like do stuff like that of like things that they don't necessarily have planned or have any big ideas for yet, but like they can go like, oh, the what's the bird people race?
The Hawks, the Thanagarians.
Oh yeah, no, we had to fight a Thanagarian, and like you can just reference that in like a fun, goofy cartoon a lot easier, and people won't go immediately like, oh, this means they're definitely doing Thanagarians.
Mm-hmm. I also am just kind of excited by the idea of we're gonna get DC's Frankenstein animated with the possibility for him to appear live action with the same voice actor at some point. I think that could be very fun if you cast the right guy, like a Ron Perlman or a David Herber.
Yeah, I could see one of them being like that kind of thing, but I also would say like maybe they would want to save one of those guys for like Etrigan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe like cast a wrestler as Frankenstein. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Oh, dude. Crazy pitch. Wardlow as Frankenstein.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that project sounds fun. It sounds interesting.
Uh-huh. I'm cautiously optimistic about it, just because like I don't know a whole lot about those characters, but I like the idea there. Now,
part of me wonders if like they were able to like go like, yeah, let's do this because of the success of Werewolf by Night. Like
probably.
That
probably is the case, yeah.
No, it's less of like, oh, Marvel did it, let's do it ourselves. It's just more of like, all right, cool. Audiences are willing to accept fun monster movie stuff in a comic book universe.
I mean, towards the end of this, we're going to talk about something that is literally that. But yeah,
Did
this has flavors of that in it.
Gunn announce these in release order? I don't know. Did he? Did he say it was release order or just
That's
like
the impression I got.
Okay.
He didn't he only gave a release date for one thing, which is the Superman movie. But the way he talked about things, I got the impression of like this rolls into this rolls into this, yada yada hoo ha. Exactly. Now, to address the Peacemaker issue, the next show after Creature Commandos is going to be a live-action series called Waller, which will focus on Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, teaming up with members of Team Peacemaker to kind of try and clear her name and deal with a dangerous crisis. It is being led by Crystal Henry, who is the writer of the HBO Watchmen series, which was very critically acclaimed, but I haven't gotten around to yet, and Jeremy Carver, who was the creator of the Doom Patrol HBO Max show, which I have watched the first season of.
I am so glad they're keeping him around.
Yeah.
Or them around.
It's really, to me, feels like, okay, James is going to be too busy to do Peacemaker Season 2 anytime soon, but people want more of those characters, so here's the next best thing to Peacemaker Season 2. And I'm fairly excited about that.
Mm-hmm. It's also like, it's nice to see a character that is like a very big part of the DC universe get that center stage that she normally doesn't get.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I've always said Amanda Waller should just be DC's Nick Fury.
Amanda Waller is DC's Nick Fury, except she's an asshole, while Nick Fury has like a heart of gold.
Mm-hmm. Amanda Waller is just a soulless bitch who will do whatever she needs to do to get the job done, but I kind of love her for that.
I saw a fucking Reddit post of like a picture of Nick Fury and a picture of Amanda Waller, and the question was just, who's the colder motherfucker? And everyone in the comments was like, it's Amanda Waller. Nick Fury's actually a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda Waller will kill a child if it saves the world. Nick Fury will have to think about it for a second.
Yeah. So, that sounds fairly promising, and then the next thing is probably the thing that we know the most about, because people have been fucking talking about this since before Black Adam came out in one way or another. Superman Legacy will be the true beginning of the DCU, according to Gunn. He is writing it and considering directing it. There's a rumor going around that he's going to direct it that has not been confirmed yet, but he is definitely the person writing it. It's not going to be an origin story. However, it is inspired by both of Morrison's run-ins on Superman, which, if you're not aware, Morrison did All-Star Superman, which is a highly critically acclaimed self-contained Superman run, and he also wrote the first, I want to say, 12 or 15 issues of New 52 Action Comics, which was meant to be a very much back-to-basics Superman, and a lot of people really like, including myself.
That's the one where he wears jeans, right?
Yeah, it's the one where he has jeans, his powers aren't fully developed yet, and Gunn and Morrison is kind of playing into the champion of the oppressed idea. The movie is planned to release July 11th, 2025. And the only other thing about this postmortemly is that a couple days later, Gunn put up a poll on his Twitter asking if people preferred Superman with trunks or no trunks, and everybody flipped the fuck out and thought he was actually asking if that's how they should do it in the movie, and he had to later clarify that he literally just did that for fun because he was thinking about it.
Yeah, people are excited. People are getting interested.
I'm very excited, honestly. I've seen some Superman hardcores kind of question this, go like, I don't know if Gunn's the right guy to write a Superman movie, but man, I want to believe. I want to believe it's good, and like the fact that we're not doing the origin, the fact that you're basing it on like two of the most critically acclaimed Superman runs in recent years. Well, not not recent years because All Stars like 30 years ago now, but relatively recent, the modern era.
All-Star Superman was around like 2007, 2008.
Trumps our political statement in comics, yeah. Um, but like two very beloved Superman runs by a very beloved comic book author who is a DC mainstay. I think we got the right ingredients here. I'm not going to say it's the new best Superman movie ever until it's out and I've seen it, but I'm optimistic about this.
If the higher ups at Warner Brothers Discovery want him to direct, that's a fair statement. They want their big... I can understand that. They want their big title character. They want Superman to be done right. And it's just like, don't fucking fuck around with another guy. Do it yourself. Just do it right. I can understand that mindset.
Yeah, I can agree.
I don't think James Gunn... I don't even think James Gunn himself would say he's the right person to direct Superman.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't even know who the right person is to direct Superman. Like I said, I'm not super up on hot current directors. I don't know who has that kind of style. Like, honestly, if you were to ask me who's the right person to direct Superman, I would say Richard Donner if he were still alive.
You know what I would say? He wouldn't do it, and he can't do it because he's tied up in another studio. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I could be down for that.
He has the right kind of like hopeful whimsy in his style.
Mm-hmm. But has Spielberg actually like directed a film recently?
Yes, he directed the movie that's nominated for an Oscar.
Which movie is that?
The Fabelmans.
I've literally never heard of that.
It's autobiographical. It's autobiographical. It's about Steven
Spielberg's
no,
I have heard of that. Okay, people were telling me I should check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next thing. After Superman Legacy will be Lanterns, not Green Lanterns, just Lanterns. Going to be a live-action HBO streaming show, which is replacing the previously planned Arrowverse Green Lantern show. That show is full-on not in development now. Greg Berlanti is not working on it anymore. They've retrofitted it into a DCU show. And it's going to be set on Precinct Earth, was the term Gunn used in the video. Not Sector 2814, which I don't know if that means it's literally going to be called Precinct Earth instead of Sector 2814 in the show. And personally, I don't care. That kind of dumbing down doesn't super annoy me. It just feels like...
Here's the thing. Precinct is the headquarters. Sector is the area the headquarters patrols.
Probably. But the show is mostly going to take place on Earth, is what I think Gunn was trying to say there. And it's going to focus on Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart as buddy cops in the style of True Detective, who discover a terrifying mystery that ties into the larger DCU story. Gunn did also say that like one or two other Green Lanterns may appear into this, which to me says maybe Guy, maybe Kilowog, maybe Sinestro.
Maybe
but I think it's maybe Gnort.
Because he's one of the more visually fun ones.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be like mostly humanoid looking guys.
Yeah.
Not heavy on effects. Because I get the feeling that this is not going to be like grim and gritty, but like more of a down to earth.
I can see it being cerebral though. I can see it seem like a non spooky version of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I could see that.
Where like there's a lot of weird heady mystery.
Why does the DC marketing department hate green? I don't know.
I think because Green Lantern is still heavily associated with the Ryan Reynolds movie. Lantern is a fun, just single word. And
I mean, it's not like it's incongruous with the comics. Green Lanterns will often refer to each other as Lantern Jordan, Lantern Kilowog, Lantern Stell, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and more often than not, if you aren't talking about the other colors, you typically just call them the Lantern Corps.
So, I mean, it works. This isn't exactly what I would do with Green Lantern were I to be handed the property, but I think it's an interesting take that could turn into a good show.
I think the big thing of like Green Lantern is it's just a very wonky project to get a hold of, and I think doing a smaller project like this can go like, all right, how do we want to move forward with these characters?
Yeah, I would love it if, like Gunn said, the first season of this mostly takes place on Earth, but then like the last episode or something, there's some big reveal or twist that goes like, oh, season two, we're gonna get out into space and we're gonna do some crazy stuff.
Yeah, like
Like do a Doctor Strange.
I can definitely see like they're trying to solve a mystery or something, and it's like I ain't the guy you're looking for, man. I'm just a weird little alien here on Earth. Well, who we gotta go find? You gotta find the main man. You gotta find the main man. Who's the main? Where's the main man? Make it a joke about Lobo.
Yeah.
Are just one-off plots instead of being movies with breaks in between episodes. No.
No, because Gunn specifically said this is going to tie into the larger story. So I think this is going to be a continuous thing.
But also, like, for what they're trying to do, I don't think episodic storytelling would work with these, like, with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to build up on more stuff, you know. An episodic really is good for like you tune into a random episode kind of thing.
Yeah, I think with streaming, you just shouldn't expect that kind of storytelling anymore.
Yeah.
But
episodic is still very much like a broadcast kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
CSI, NCIS,
Mm-hmm.
Bluey.
Yes, Bluey, prestige television.
Yeah, some people on the internet might as well be.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy it. I've watched quite a few episodes with my nephew.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just more of like it's the Australian de jour for most people, except our Australians, a man who screams at MP3 players.
Okay. So the next thing they announced is that The Authority are getting a movie. Gunn stated that it is a passion project of his, and it's going to be based on the Wildstorm characters and inspired partly by the Warren Ellis and Mark Millar runs. Okay. I don't know much about The Authority. I think it's a bold choice to do them super early in your universe, but I also think it could turn out to be a very interesting movie, and I think it's a smart way of capitalizing on the evil Superman trend in media right now, because The Authority was one of the first things to do that.
Yeah. Also, it'd be a fun way to just get, like, have gay characters just show up on screen immediately.
Yeah. Oh, man. Apollo and Midnighter have to be in this, and they have to kiss.
Yeah.
This is one of the few, like, universally liked things they've done, Buster.
And even here's the thing. Warren Ellis wrote a lot of great things. People liked what Warren Ellis wrote.
Is legitimately good. Mark Millar is just the guy you got to watch out for.
Yeah, hopefully it's more Warren Ellis. I think it's probably going to be Warren Ellis in terms of like character and story and tone, and Mark Millar in terms of violence and action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to get like the really big dichotomy across. But also, I think it's funny, if this comes out, we're gonna get the gay Batman before we get the regular Batman, like the traditional Batman.
Hell yeah.
People are gonna compare the Batman to the Midnighter.
Oh man. The next project they discussed was Paradise Lost, which is going to be a TV show set on Themyscira in the time before Diana became Wonder Woman, and will be styled after shows like Game of Thrones. I gotta admit, I'm not super excited that this is the big Wonder Woman thing they announced. It seems
so
like
wrapped up with Gal Gadot, and they're trying to figure all that stuff out, and I understand, but they want to have a Wonder Woman project.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a backstep to me, but I can understand how like it ties into current media trends, and it seems like a good idea. And there is an actual comic storyline called Paradise Island Lost, which is about a civil war on Themyscira. So hopefully they kind of base this on that. Um, and I think it could be interesting. I'm like very cautiously optimistic about this. If anything, this could be the thing that finally gets me interested in Wonder Woman lore outside of the basic superhero stuff.
Yeah, could be. I did also hear one person just give the very basic, like, of course they're making that. It's Game of Thrones, but with more lesbians.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
you put that on a piece of paper, every single producer in Hollywood would go like, oh yeah, of
oh,
course we make this.
that's just a license to print money right there. Uh,
I
um,
guarantee there's going to be one male in that cast, and it's gonna be Ares, and they're gonna go with a new 52 origin.
oh, I hope not. I really hope not. I don't
Like,
know.
you know, and like that's how the whole thing gets. Oh, that's how Hippolyta gets blackmailed and all that blackmailed and all that kind of stuff. Someone goes like, "I saw you. You have a man on here." It's like, oh no.
Mm. All right. So the next thing they announced is The Brave and the Bold. Just straight up, The Brave and the Bold is the title of a movie which is going to introduce the DCU's Batman, which is not Ben Affleck. That was explicitly stated a couple times. This is going to be a new Batman based on Morrison's run. It will also heavily feature Damian Wayne, who is Gunn's favorite Robin, and will begin the Bat family in the DCU, which, yes, Gunn later clarified on Instagram, I believe it was, that there will be more members of the Bat family in this movie besides just Bruce and Damian, which has me pretty stoked, I gotta admit. I love that, like, they're letting um they're letting Battinson continue as the solo grimdark Batman thing, and they're going like, over here we're gonna do the big fun Bat family thing. We're gonna finally do that right in live action, and I'm super excited about that. I like everything they said about this, to be honest.
Also, Aki's right. They pointed out that there's actually a lot of male characters that they can have in the show. So it's not. It's going to be probably mostly majority female focused, but like Zeus, Hades,
Yeah.
Hermes, characters like that. Yeah, that totally makes sense. That tracks. I can definitely see them doing that. I'm
hmm
excited for this Batman project.
Yeah, like just the fact that you're starting with Damien, you're doing a Robin. First of all, you're doing a Robin in a movie properly for like the first time ever, and you're starting with the most recent Robin. Like that is super bold. It's super brave and it's super bold, and I'm very excited.
I saw like some because people were going like, okay, are they starting with Damien? Or are they not doing the other Robins? I saw someone gave a proposed, like, not necessarily like confirmed or anything, like timeline of like how it could all happen, and it's
hmm
like,
Like you have to put Dick and Tim in here to some level because their relationships with Damien is super important to Damien's character.
but what I'm saying is like it's like they gave like, oh, Batman starts in 2015, he gets a Robin, he gets Dick here, and like they lined up all the story events, so like it totally makes sense for Damien to be around and Batman to have the right age. He was like 36 in their proposed idea, which I think is a great age for a Batman.
Especially because Gunn also said at some point, it was either this week or last week, that he's aiming for a younger Superman who Batman has been operating for a while before he became Superman. And like, I'm usually, again, that's another idea where it's like, I'm usually against this, but I can see it working in this universe you're outlining.
See, here's the thing. I think that works. I think that will really work if like Batman is like a cryptid of Gotham. He's the mystery. No one's really sure if there really is a Batman. Like it's just a
Mhm.
rumor. It's a scary story, and then Superman happens, and then Batman becomes public.
Hmm. Yeah.
So like
I guess we're gonna have to wait and see how that shakes out, but
yeah.
I could be into that version of it.
But yeah, no, seeing all that kind of stuff, I can see how they can do some of the things without having to just immediately have Dick and Tim and Jason.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You have three main characters. You have Batman, you have Damian, and you have Oracle. You don't explain anything about Oracle. She's just there, and she goes like, "Have you talked to Dick lately? I don't want to talk about that." Oh, so I'm taking that as a no. As a way to like say like the other Bat family's there, and Batman slowly through the course of the movie like goes like, family, you know.
So, like, do you want me to tell Tim that you gave your kid his code name, or what, or should I, or what? What's going on here?
Are you sure he should have a sword? He's allowed to have a sword. It's a katana. I see it's a katana, kid. I stab people with it.
I'm aware.
You shouldn't be stabbing people.
Where's Alfred when you need him?
I hope I don't want it to be necessarily like, I don't want it to be like Batman the Brave and the Bold cartoon, but I would like it to be a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, I think it is going to be more lighthearted, but I don't think it's going to resemble that show very much. I think I said this to Buster on Twitter the day all this was announced. Like, if you're a fan of that show, taper your expectations, because I'm pretty sure they just used this name because it's like the only like widespread Batman name that's not already attached to a big live action thing. Yeah. It was either this or the Caped Crusader.
Or like Legend of the Dark Knight or something.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to name a movie Detective Comics.
That would be great, though. They should do that.
No, okay. You know what? That'd be a great name for an anthology TV show where they have just like a bunch of fun, goofy mystery, like The Question, Detective Chimp, Constantine.
Yeah, I could
Human Target. And just solve like each of them gets like a mystery an episode.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next thing. Booster Gold is going to be getting an HBO Max series, and not much was said about it except that it is happening. However, Safran later said in an interview that they are already talking to a specific actor about playing Booster, so I think they're kind of trying to fast track this, and I'm fairly excited about Buster points out in the chat that Caped Crusader is an upcoming cartoon. I forgot about that. Good shout. But I think it's really interesting that they're jumping again into Booster Gold, a character who is relatively recent compared to a lot of the DC Pantheon. A lot of people forget Booster Gold was invented in the early 90s. He's a really new character. But he has a lot of widespread acclaim and a lot of great stories to his name. So to do an entire show about him seems like a good choice.
I hate to keep making comparisons to Marvel, but this definitely feels like they're going like, this is our Ant-Man. This is the one that you're not like expecting to do a lot of big things, but he's going to be a fun character that people engage with, and he's going to be interesting to see play against other people.
Yeah. I hope it does end up being kind of like an ensemble jumpy around show where we see a bunch of other characters cameo in episodes. I think that could be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine this Batman or this Superman interacting with a Booster Gold. Or like this ultra serious Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart interacting with a Booster Gold.
Imagine Peacemaker being Booster Gold.
Oh my god, they would be Chaos Goblins together.
Imagine John Cena Peacemaker hanging out with Booster. That'd be fucking great.
That would be so good. Oh, I hope that happens now.
Jamie.
All right. Now for the thing. For the thing I have not shut the fuck up about and will not shut the fuck up about ever. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and them of all ages and races. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is being adapted into a movie. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. You know that thing that people do when they win like a big award at an award show, where they stand up and they grab their face and they like gasp and they start shaking with joy and tearing up? That was literally me while I was watching this video for the first time and James Gunn said those words. Like, I got seriously emotional, and not to get too dramatic, but like, I legitimately had a moment where I was like, holy shit, maybe there is a god after all. You laugh, sir. You laugh.
I do laugh.
But let's not
because
forget.
I laugh. It's funny. It's a little funny. You gotta admit, a little funny.
This is a series that Tom King literally did because he wanted to help Supergirl as a character out. He wanted to get her back into the spotlight because DC was planning to cancel the book because the sales numbers were incredibly low. So low, in fact, that he proposed a 12-issue maxi series and they told him, no, you get 8. And then they gave it a shitty trade, even though it was one of the most critically acclaimed series of the time, of that year, and people fucking lost their shit over the fact that it got done, and so many comic YouTubers tried to signal boost it and get it out there to people, and here is James fucking Gunn saying this was one of his favorite comics of last year, and that he is really excited about being able to bring it to the big screen. And that effect of him just saying that, not just with this book, but with all the other books that are getting adapted that they talked about, The Authority, Morrison's Superman, Morrison's Batman.
That's legit. He gave a reading list of like, these are the books that are inspiring the projects we're doing.
These fucking trades sold out across the board.
They
Amazon,
were
your local comic shops.
They were the top sellers on Amazon.
And they're all now sold out to the point where Jim Lee, head of DC Comics Jim Lee, had to tweet and say, hey, we're very excited about this response. All these books are getting new printings with more plans going into motion right now. Which to me says we might actually get that hardcover oversized edition that Tiffany was like begging for in the fucking back issues on this book.
That, like, goddamn, so much good shit, so much good, like...
One thing you can demonstrably say DC is already doing better than Marvel with this is fucking saying the books that are directly inspiring these projects, which is getting people excited and going out and buying the books. The long-fabled, I like this comic book adaptation, so I'm gonna go buy the comic book based on it, is actually fucking happening here. The only other time I've seen this happen is with Tom King's vision after WandaVision started up.
You just have to actually, like, tell people about it. Who would have thought... I will say this. I was gonna kind of save it for, like, where we get to the end of the slate. I hope to God this lights a fire under Feige's ass. Because he's been doing okay. He's been doing solid stuff. I hope to God this lights a fire under his ass to, like, kick it up into gear. And go, like, all right.
Man should straight up say at SDCC this year, hey, you excited about Kang Dynasty? Here's a fucking comic called Kang Dynasty. You can go buy the trade right now.
Promoting... Yeah, it's fake. Yeah. Hey, that book is fine. Doing the memoir thing is fine. It's a real book. You can buy it.
That's fine. That I don't have any problem with that in comparison to this. It's just the fact that, like, they're not even like saying go buy these books. They're just saying this is the book that inspires this movie, and that is motivating people to go check them out. Like, that is so fucking encouraging to me. That, like, Woman of Tomorrow, a book that, like, had everything against it, but turned out so fucking well. And now, just by a mention by the new head of DC Studios, is the top seller on Amazon. That's a fucking incredible success story that not even to me as a Supergirl fan or a DC fan or a comics fan, to me as a creative individual, that was the most encouraging thing I'd seen in ages.
Buster, I'm not a Marvel shill. I'm a Marvel fan. And what I want is Marvel to be the best it can be. And I like what they've been putting out. It just can always be better. And I think this is a great way to make it better. It's just like them going like, oh shit, we actually have competition now. We have to keep eyeballs on our product. How do we do that? Well, we make better movies.
Oh my God.
We keep trying.
Oh my God, have the tables truly turned? Is DC now the AEW to Marvel's WWE?
No, we're not going with that comparison.
Okay, a couple more details on this. It is undecided if Kara will be played by Sasha Calais in this movie or if it will be a new actress. I think they're waiting to see how Flash shakes out to decide that. Though personally, I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm not super excited about Sasha Calais as Supergirl. I think she looks kind of wrong for the part, and not just because she's not a blonde. I'm basing that on her previous work and her facial features and the way she looks in the suit.
I wouldn't go by facial features that much because the art of Supergirl has changed around a lot of times, you know?
Fair enough. When Todd makes his Spawn movie, then AEW begins.
No, Spawn will be GCW.
Spawn will be very GCW. But I should also say, like, I'm trying to remain open-minded about Sasha Calais as Supergirl. I'll be keeping an eye on the Flash, if only for that. But I will say I don't know if you saw Boingo, but I was so excited about this. For the first time in my life, I posted a fan casting on Twitter in response to this announcement.
Who'd you cast?
So initially I was thinking Natalie Dormer as Supergirl. However, I checked and she's actually a little old for the age Supergirl is supposed to be in this. She could probably play younger, but she's 30. I don't know if she could quite do 21. So instead I went for somebody who was actually the same age as me, Anya Taylor-Joy.
Okay, I just had an idea. Tell me if it's a good idea or not. The girl who plays 11 in Stranger Things.
As Supergirl?
Yeah.
I could see it, though honestly I was considering her for Rufai and ended up going with Daphne King.
She's like 19 King. Now.
She is, yeah, she could totally do it. But yeah, Daphne Keene would be my pick for Rufai. Just because I think she's a very underrated actress. She's had a few really good, really big roles that people tend to like forget about her for a couple of years, and then she pops back up, and she's right about the right age. And then I would say for Creme of the Yellow. Well, before we get to Creme, you got to get the goodest boy to play Crypto. You just got to get the goodest boy out there.
And don't cheap out and make it a golden retriever. Come on, don't get a golden. Get a white dog.
Get a white lab. That's what Crypto is supposed to be.
There's no really white labs. You could get like a blonde lab, which is like kind of golden retriever looking, but like different texture in the fur.
Mm-hmm. But for Creme of the Yellow Hills, I want David Tennant.
Ooh.
I think David Tennant would be great for the role.
I think, yeah, I can understand him being great for the role, but I would say David Tennant's too good of an actor to just have a one-off villain role.
Yeah. Though, like, imagine that career path, though, man. Like, he plays Doctor Who, and then he plays a creepy, like, simple villain that threatens a Marvel female character, and then he plays Doctor Who again, and then he does that for a DC character.
See, my immediate thought of like, oh, if you're gonna have David Tennant in like a DC property, have him be like Dr. Fate.
Ooh, that would be good.
Like an old school classic Dr. Fate.
Or if it was younger David Tennant, if it was like Doctor Who original run David Tennant, he'd be a good John Constantine.
You know who would also be really good as?
Mm-hmm.
The human form of Etrigan.
Ooh, yeah. Jason Blood.
Jason Blood.
Also, I just realized, well, because I brought his name up, they didn't say anything about Keanu Reeves' Constantine sequel.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an Elseworlds.
It'll probably be an Elseworlds, but that would be fucking hilarious if it ended up being in the DCU.
Hello, Mr. Constantine. I'm Superman. Whoa.
Okay, so the final we can let Supergirl go for a bit.
Okay.
The
You're
final
never gonna let her
project.
go.
I'm never gonna let her go. I'm never gonna give her up. But the final project, full project they announced. We have a few more things to talk about after this, but the final project they announced is Swamp Thing. There's going to be a new Swamp Thing movie that is going to be a dark horror origin story inspired by the original Alan Moore run, with James Mangold already in talks to direct. This is crazy exciting. I think like this is all the perfect ingredients for a modern Swamp Thing movie at the moment.
It's Swamp Thing. He doesn't have face tentacles. I'm not interested. He can't be a penis joke. I'm not interested. I'm kidding. But hell yeah, Swamp Thing. He's like a very important thing in DC.
Yeah, I mean, if it's half as good as the show, it'll be a great movie. Did you not ever watch or know about the DC Universe show?
No.
It's fucking great. You should check it out.
I thought it only had like one episode.
No, it got one season. And it was meant to go on. It just got canceled because it didn't immediately bring up a bunch of subscriptions.
Yeah.
Because DC Universe was ultimately a bad idea. There, I said it.
That's the problem with subscription-based things. Is this if it's never gonna have an immediate response, and it's just a backlog of content that always keeps a user base continuing and going on. You know?
Mm-hmm. Is what it is, but Gunn ended off the video by just reiterating that moving forward, they are going to put a focus on making sure the vision of the writers and directors is something truly unique and interesting, because storytelling will always be king in their DCU, and he wants to bring audiences things they've never seen before. And I do think, on the whole, this slate that they've announced does reflect that. This feels like a bunch of stuff that has its own kind of unique personality, but will all be part of a larger story. Like, I get much more of a patchwork, put together universe feel here than I have from a lot of other superhero adaptation projects in a while. Like, I really like that this has a distinct feel from Marvel, where like I don't always agree that Marvel feels very homogenous. There is uniqueness to a lot of their projects, but
this feels much more like Phase 2 of Marvel than like other Marvel, because like Phase 2 is very Wild West, and like here's Guardians, here's Ant-Man, here's all this wacky shit. You there?
Yeah, I was just waiting for you to finish.
That's the end of the sentence, period.
I mean, where was I going with that?
I don't know.
The thing is, like, this reflects DC Comics a lot more than the previous Snyder universe did, and that's a big part of why I'm going to say, on the whole, I am very excited about this. Like, I'm not going to be saying it's the greatest thing ever until we've actually got some of this stuff out and we can look at it, but right now, I'm very excited about this status quo going forward, because this feels more like DC to me. This has like a fucking terminology and a plan that makes sense, while each individual project has its own very standout feel to it. DC has always been a patchwork universe made up of a bunch of different properties that were acquired and put together under one house over decades of work. Whereas Marvel, from the get-go, was all one continuous story.
From the
So
get-go with Stan and Jack.
yeah, I like that both studios are going to reflect that moving forward. I like that we're not trying to have one writer, director, producer man do everything going forward. Like, obviously, Gunn and Safran are going to have a huge influence on everything, but aside from a few things here and there, it's not all going to be outright their project, and that makes me very excited.
Very much so. It's a great, Marvel's only as good as when DC's good.
Mm-hmm.
I always believe that they have to, like, they feed off of each other in certain ways.
Yeah.
That's why it's so sad that they haven't been able to have, like, a crossover in years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, without DC doing DC things, Marvel doesn't do Marvel stuff. And without Marvel doing Marvel stuff, DC can't counter respond. It's like, it's a conversation between two aspects of American culture.
Yeah. But that was the entire main video announcement that dropped on Tuesday morning. There were a few points that came out after this that I'm just going to real quick run down, and if we need to go over them, we can. Somebody later came at Gunn on Instagram complaining that he was recasting Henry Cavill, and for the 10th time, Gunn had to state that Cavill was never officially hired back as Superman. It was an agreement, and they ultimately decided to go another way with everybody parting amicably. Can we please fucking stop having this discussion now? Superman and Lois is planned to get at least 1 to 2 more seasons. That show is moving forward. Safran later stated that he is actually glad Batgirl was scrapped because, in his opinion, it was unreleasable and would have hurt the DCU. We can read into that a whole lot, but I think that's just his personal opinion, and also being the PR guy saying, hey, we made a good choice here. Stop complaining.
It may also just be like, James Gunn is being the wild, crazy guy, getting all the excitement. Someone has to be the guy towing the company line.
Yeah, which is another thing that's come out of all this. I saw an article today, or I think it was last night actually, that like apparently a lot of Warner Brothers executives have had their feathers ruffled by Gunn's shoot from the hip approach to public relations, and I was like, fucking good. That's what they need.
Just a bunch of old white guys going.
Mm-hmm. And the final thing is, they haven't said anything about what the plans for Gotham Knights moving forward is, which, if you're not aware, Gotham Knights is not only a video game that came out recently, but there's a show that's going to premiere on the CW in like a month or so, and they haven't said what the deal with that is either way. I'm imagining that there's just going to be an Elseworlds label slapped on it, and it'll probably get canceled after 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no interest in it. But that is all the DC Studios movie news, TV news that we need to discuss at the moment. I'm sure there will be a lot of minor points going forward until the next big news dump. But that's all of it, baby. We did it. We did the news.
We still got more news to talk about, because now we got some comic book news. And hey, are you a fan of the X-Men? They're doing a vote. Hey, vote for the next member of the X-Men.
This is like the 3rd year in a row they've done this, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I did actually vote in this one, though, because I could find the vote. I didn't know it was a thing until after it happened the first time, and then I never saw the link for where you could vote the second time. But this time I found it, and I got my vote in.
Yep. And for people who want to know, who's the X-Men that we can vote for? We got Cannonball, Dazzler, Frenzy, Jubilee, Juggernaut, and Prodigy.
Vote Juggernaut.
Have I voted yet?
Have you voted?
I don't think I have voted.
You should vote.
Let's
It's
see.
your patriotic duty as a citizen of Krakoa.
Juggernaut, because he's going through a cool character arc of like, did it go through?
Mm-hmm.
Campaign posters.
Sir, I can't believe comics got political.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, I guess that counts.
Sick.
I don't know. I'll figure it
All
out
right.
later. But Juggernaut's been going through a cool, fun character arc in Legion of X. He's also one of the few humans on Krakoa, so it'd be interesting to see that as like an exploration of like the continued relationship between humans and mutants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also imagine like this is probably skewed in some way of like the top three will probably all be in the book. It's not just going to be one winner.
Yeah, who knows? There's a variety of things there. But they've been doing a lot of fun things to kind of promote this vote. This little piece of art's fun. They've also released a bunch of like short political ads,
Yeah.
which is super cute.
It's a nice touch.
It's a nice touch. It's a nice little thing, and X-Men has been consistently some of the best stuff Marvel's been putting out lately. Yeah, like here's one of the political ads, going like, "Why would you vote Jubilee? She was a vampire."
Oh, comics.
Here's one that's just like, "Oh, the Juggernaut's an asshole." The Juggernaut's related to Charles Xavier. Do we really need more nepotism? Like, that's a cute idea.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You know, little things like that. Just like, it's fun. It's fun. Goddamn, X-Men's just kicking out of the park, doing a lot of good stuff. Hey, guess what? Speaking of X-Men, we're getting more X-Men shit. Rogue and Gambit has been a book that they've been promoting, and we just get some more looks at it. Look at it.
Yeah, it's coming out next month. The writer artist did a big little interview with CBR, I believe this article is from.
Yes.
And they also gave a bunch of preview pages, basically just drumming up interest in the fact of like, hey, we're going to be getting kind of back to basics with Rogue and Gambit, but also Destiny's going to be heavily involved in this book.
You gotta have the mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm. I am kind of excited about this, honestly. Like, I'm not the biggest Rogue Gambit fan, but hey, you can make anything work. You just got to make it work. And I've seen books with them work before, and I've been very interested in the whole overbearing mother-in-law Destiny character type they've been playing with. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. And also, this is the artist from Exterminators. I love that they're getting more work because their work is great.
I'll agree, Aki. Mr. and Mrs. X is a better title. I don't mind Rogue and Gambit.
Yeah, Rogue and Gambit is an easier way to grab people's attention because those are names they know.
Yeah, it's more recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was up to me, I'd call it Rogue and Gambit, Mr. and Mrs. X.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever explain to me, by the way, how Gambit came back to life? Because I remember he died in Otherworld at some point.
Oh, he didn't die.
Oh.
They like did like a weird little tricky thing.
Oh, okay.
Like, magically someone had to sacrifice themselves, and the sacrifice was like null and void because of some, like, not null and void, but like magic.
Nice. Magic.
Now I'm just thinking of that one Sue Storm line from BMAS Fantastic Four video.
That's exactly what I was going for.
You know what it could be? Don't say magic. Magic!
I am a scientist, dear. I don't believe in... It was magic! Magic! Okay, god damn it.
And we also got first details on Landmark Fantastic Four number 700. Classic.
I didn't even realize they were close to 700, but apparently that's coming in May.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a fucking Doom story. Because of course.
Of course it's Fantastic Four. What else do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful cover, because as always, it's Alex Ross.
Alex Ross, man, he's your man.
And he's putting out he's putting his entire dick into fucking Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Because he loves the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
You know?
Man, here's hoping it's good.
The Fantastic Four book's been solid. It's been good. I know you have your
I'm iffy
complaint.
on it. I don't dislike it. I don't love it, but I'm like, we gotta see. We haven't even gotten an issue where all 4 members are together yet.
I know, but like, I think it's nice to have moments where you reestablish who these characters are outside of the dynamic of the family.
Oh, definitely. I agree.
And I think for a new writer on the book, doing that first to kind of let themselves have the voice of the character in their head before they start putting them together, I totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe do it as 4 short stories in 1 issue.
Yeah, that probably would have been preferable. However, like, for me, knowing whether somebody is good or not at writing Fantastic Four entirely rests on how they write that family dynamic in a single issue.
Oh, yeah. But I will say, the Thing story was fantastic.
Oh, it was so good.
I loved the Reed and Sue story because it just showed how empathetic Reed is as a person, even though he is through the lens of being a cold, calculating scientist.
Yeah.
We have a disagreement about the Johnny story. I thought it was really fun.
And I thought it was fun. It just felt it just hollow. Didn't hit for me.
Fun but hollow. Fun but shallow.
Yeah.
But overall, Fantastic Four is good.
I'm looking forward to seeing them all together this month. Yeah, I think that issue will be a big, not necessarily make or break, but like a big watershed moment for this run.
Yeah. But hey, that's all the comic news. You want to talk about some toys?
Yeah, we got a little bit of toy news this week. There wasn't a ton, at least not in the way of stuff like I'm super interested in. But first and foremost, Bandai has been holding a big SH Figuarts 15th anniversary event in Japan the last couple days. And they've been showcasing like the evolution of the line and a lot of stuff that's
all the Kamen Riders, all the Sentais,
all the stuff really. And they've also showcased a few new upcoming items that they're working on, including SH Figuarts No Way Home Green Goblin, who looks fantastic in my opinion. Spot on. The face might be a little pale, but I'm sure they could tweak that before final release. And that's another thing with this. This is not an official release announcement. This is them showing off a prototype because Figuarts loves to show prototypes at events like this and then put a little nameplate in front of it that says display only. And they've done this with a lot of things and not released them yet. Like they did a what's the term? The classic Captain America from First Avenger, who's like on stage selling war bonds.
USO Cap.
Yeah, they did a prototype of that and showed it with a display only placard years ago and have never talked about it since. They showed a ton of Sentai Figuarts back in the day with display only placards that never got released. So like whenever you see something like this, it's like, yeah, that looks cool, but don't quite get your hopes up. This could get a release, but we just don't know yet.
It's like 40-60.
Mm-hmm. This could very well be the only time you ever see it. However, the pre-orders could get announced next month. We have to wait and see. Mm-hmm. And I also think they showed this as like kind of a makeup thing for having to withdraw Andrew's unmasked head last week. And possibly, I think this could be an indication that just the fact that Bandai is able to do this, I think this lends credence to the long-running theory that there's going to be a Marvel Legends wave that will have all the villains from that movie.
That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I would love? I know we already saw the new Spider-Man costume at the end of No Way Home.
Yeah.
You know what I would love? If they update the costume just a little bit and just have the fucking Todd McFarlane giant-ass eyeballs. Give us a giant-ass Todd lenses.
I think those work in comics in a way that they wouldn't on film.
I would love to see it tried at least.
Mm.
Cosplayers, someone do a Todd Cos.
Do a Todd Cos.
Do a Todd Cos.
That's what every Spawn cosplayer is called from now on, a Todd Cos.
Todd Cos. Todd Cos. Getting off that dumb joke. Hey, guess what? We got a Rebel Tech. We got a Rebel Tech Moon Knight.
Yeah, Rebel Tech announced a few things this week, which is kind of exciting because that seemed like it was a borderline dead line for a little bit there. But we got this, and we also got a DC announcement I'm assuming we'll talk about in a minute. This Moon Knight looks very interesting. First of all, you've got the copious amount of moons just sculpted into the suit, which is a very different touch, but it does seem to be the classic Moon Knight suit. And also, huge departure for Rebel Tech, an actual cloth cape. Typically, they're like these big plastic jointed affairs that are kind of a nightmare to work with. So seeing that they're going with a cloth cape here is very interesting. I want to see more of this figure. I want to see the full pre-order promotional shots and seeing what all it can do. This really does have me interested, despite not being a huge Moon Knight fan.
I'm so glad Moon Knight is coming more into the public consciousness of Marvel characters. Of like, yes, give us Moon Knight. Please, Kevin, please, Sleepwalker. He deserves love. Please, Sleepy.
Where's our Marvel special presentation, Sleepwalker?
Oh man, that'd be so good. Next toy we got animated series Jubilee and Magneto from Mondo.
Yeah, the Mondo 112 or 1/6 scale X-Men animated line continues. And just like all the other ones we've seen so far, I think these look really good. I'm not into this scale, but I think this is one of the best figure lines at this scale I've seen in a long time because it's doing something different. It's a sculpted figure. It doesn't have soft goods, and there's just so many accessories, and the posability is very versatile but also very subtle, which is something I like to see.
I haven't seen a regular Jubilee face. There they are. Because we just had the fantasy elfier one. Goddamn, look at all that stuff.
I like that too. I like how there's like accessories for specific episodes and specific looks with these.
Jubilee looks fantastic. Alright. Oh, she has the bubble gum.
You gotta give Jubilee the bubble gum.
That's fucking adorable right there.
Oh, the firework effects are good. She comes with chili fries. Holy shit.
Oh man, it like that pose with Wolverine is so good. Great Jubilee, absolutely amazing Jubilee figure.
Yeah, I'm not a 90s X-Men fan, but this looks like quintessential Jubilee to me.
I mean, hey, you're a Jubilee fan now because of Exterminators.
Yeah, I like adult Jubilee.
Jubilee Chaos Gremlin.
I like Jubilee as the 25-year-old that's just given up on being an adult and is just being a shithead with all her friends.
And just was like, hey, wear this sexy costume. Why? Because it'd be funny. It's just really good. It's solid. Hold on, let's get to the other guy. Oh my god, that pose. It's fantastic. It's just like ripping out the adamantium. We got Magneto.
Yeah, the Master of Magnet. And he looks really good. I think we had seen renders of this beforehand, but seeing an actual prototype photographed, I think it turned out really, really well. I am very much into this look for Magneto. I've always preferred the classic red and purple for Magneto.
I like the white. I love the white as just like I am Magneto and I'm trying to be leader.
It's a good alternate look. However, like if you ask me if I have to pick one Magneto look to go on my shelf, I'm always gonna go with the red and purple.
Like, it was so fucking hype in Judgment Day when Magneto goes like, all right, we gotta fucking go to war. And he put on his red and purple. Like, this is my war uniform now.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I'm fucking going all out and killing people. Had a good life. He would be the master of bondage. Hey, this man does have 3 kids.
He does.
Don't put anything down past him.
Magneto, known sex haver.
Magneto, known sex haver. I also love how the cape has a little billow above, so he has
it gives
more
you that clearance for the articulation.
Yeah, but it just makes it look more regal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's good.
Yeah,
the accessories. Oh man.
Again, I don't collect 1/6 scale. That's the big 12-inch boys. But if I did, I would be all over this line. It looks great.
Look at all these great. Oh, it comes with a bendy wire accessory, so you can like wrap it around people. Like I'm wrapping you with it. So good. Wait a second. The accessories are magnetic.
That's great. That's a great touch.
They magnetize to his hands. That's adorable. Oh God. See? Little magnet right there.
Yeah.
And its glorious mane. Magneto is genuinely one of my favorite Marvel superheroes. And fuck you if you say he's not a superhero. He's a superhero. Magneto was right.
Yeah, great looking line. I would love to get into these if I had the room and the money to break into 1/6 scale.
Do you think after they get through some of the X-Men, they're gonna start on Spider-Man?
I would love that. I'm not going to expect it though, because I think far fewer people are into the '90s Spider-Man show than they are into the '90s X-Men show.
I'd say it's a close second though.
Mm-hmm. But like, I mean, like that's totally evident in the fact that like they immediately greenlit a '90s X-Men revival based on Disney Plus numbers, and '90s Spider-Man is just there like, what? Wait,
I got Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're definitely not gonna get Fantastic Four.
Oh no, nobody wants to see that shit come back.
Or I Am Iron Man. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind a revival of that Hulk show though. I liked the '90s animated Hulk. I used to watch that with a neighbor friend all the time. I didn't know Silver Surfer had a show until like 2 years ago.
Stan Lee like said the intro at the beginning of every one. That's There was once a promo because it was on Fox Kids where Silver Surfer ran into Hank Hill from King of the Hill.
Oh wow!
And he said, like, "Do you want to know about propane?" And it's like, "I would love to know more information about this propane."
I'm sure that's like sacred texts to Cody.
Just make a good modern Hulk show that ain't Agents of fucking Smash. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I never watched Agents of Smash. I assume it's bad now.
Take every Hulk character and put them in a reality TV show. Where they just did Force Works in that Avengers show with Wasp, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, Scarlet Witch. Yeah. I mean, that's the Iron Man cartoon. That's the I Am Iron Man. That's the one with the modular suit and the CG like transformation sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know how you talked about Amazing Yamaguchi?
Yeah, we got more of that.
We got some flashes.
Yeah, this is a very cool choice for me, and it makes perfect sense, because you got the Flash movie coming up. Announcing just both of them straight away when it's an easy palette swap to do makes perfect sense. And, like, this is a character that tends to get into very exaggerated running poses, so a line like Amazing Yamaguchi that is all about crazy exaggerated poses is a perfect fit. I also love the lightning accessories that they're shown with here. I think this has a potential to be like a really solid release in this line. It's again not a line I'm super interested in collecting, but I think it's a very smart choice to do this. I'm looking forward to seeing what the full solicitation is, and maybe checking out a review or two to see how they turned out.
Oh yeah, it looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
They look solid.
Yeah.
McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman from Dark Knight Trilogy Build a Wave preview. You only got the
Yeah.
one figure, it looks like.
Actually, the next few all the rest of the links are this because this was announced back at Toy Fair. I believe Todd said he was going to be doing an entire Nolan trilogy wave, and this week they did a bunch of nice fancy shots to announce what the whole wave is. So
I mean, this looks
obviously,
amazing.
you got Dark Knight suit, Bailman. I tried to make a pun there, it didn't work. But
I appreciate
yeah,
it.
very, very good looking recreation of that shot. Interesting that it seems like they're going with a cloth cape because Todd doesn't do that too often.
Yeah.
Um, but looks like a very faithful recreation of that suit. Not my favorite Batman look on film, but very, very good. This Two-Face, however, this is tempting for me because I love Dark Knight Two-Face. One of my favorite interpretations of the character makes that movie for me, and this is one of the best figures of that design I've ever seen. Like just the face sculpt alone looks like they actually really went for it. Whereas a lot of companies would just like do a soft sculpt or print it on. It looks like they actually tried to get the detail right there, and that's a huge bonus point in my opinion.
It looks good. We also got Scarecrow.
Yeah, this one kind of threw me, I'm gonna be honest, because I you can't see Scarecrow super well in those movies. So like I didn't realize that his costume was actually this elaborate. I thought Crane just put on the mask and wore a regular business suit. But no, this is the look they're going for, and I guess it works. Doesn't super evoke that feeling for me, but it's good enough, and I'm willing to bet people will be into it.
Yeah. Yeah. We also got Heath Ledger Joker.
I mean, what can you really say here? The very few companies have gotten this design wrong. It's an iconic look. Everybody's been doing figures of it since the day it was unveiled, and Todd did a decent job here.
Looks good, looks solid. And the last toy bit, we got Brain.
Yes, they're doing Bane as the Build-A-Figure, which I think is a good logical choice. You want him to be big and beefy. You want him to be... He's the final villain of the trilogy, so it makes sense to have him be a thing that all these figures build towards. Very nice, very thematic. I can agree with some of the people who are saying it's kind of weird that they haven't announced a Catwoman or a Jim Gordon or an Alfred, but like, this is the main Batman look everybody knows from that trilogy, and this is the main look of all the villains everybody knows from that trilogy. So I think this wave makes a lot of sense. I'm not super interested in getting it because honestly, I've been burned out on Nolan Batman for years, but I can appreciate some new fresh takes toy-wise.
Oh yeah, like for the people who want them, this is fantastic. They look great. Has Toddy Mick gotten good?
I think he's pretty much in the neighborhood of good now. I think we had a period there where it was like, oh, he's approaching good. He's making like one or two good announcements out of each batch. We'll see what happens. And now it's like he's found that balance of giving people the brand new stuff, the evergreen looks, and like these weird specific throwbacks that excite little pockets of fandom. I think that is the midpoint he's needed to get to ever since the line started, and I think he's finally there. He's got a similar like consistency of bouncing back and forth between these few themes that Marvel Legends has had for the last few years.
That's good. Hey, but that's it for news. Are you ready to talk about the books we read?
Oh boy, am I. Oh boy, what a week for comics.
Not a super
What
big week, but a lot of like good, solid entries.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit there was only one book that I was actually like really jazzed about. But there wasn't anything like outright bad this week, I would say.
Oh yeah, yeah. So first things first, we have the Scarlet Witch.
Okay, we're going right to the good shit. This is the one thing I was actually super jazzed about. Because if you'll remember, I was kind of down on the first issue of this. I was like, I don't know. I think I'm only gonna read the next issue for Viv. Uh, and reading this, holy God, for the first time since Tom King's Vision, somebody wrote Viv Vision right.
Yeah, she's calculating, but she understands empathy and emotions.
Mm-hmm. And she's got these little hangups and these little ticks that come with the nature of her existence that the people around her have to delicately navigate, and she's trying to be understanding of that. Um, and like just seeing her written like that when for so long, like Mark Waid, I love you, but God, your Champions was dog shit. The way he wrote Viv as just like generic robot who wants to be more like humans sucked ass. So to see us finally get back to Viv as the character we know and love her as made me so happy. And also I like how she has this delicate relationship with Wanda, where Wanda wants to help her and be supportive and be like, no, you're
I
not
see you
like
as a niece. You are family to me.
you are family. And Viv has these moments of like, but you're not my mom. Know your place. You're not my mom. And uh and Wanda has to go like, yeah, I know. I get it. It's fine. It reminds me a lot of like post-crisis Supergirl and Superman,
Hmm.
where there would be these little moments where it's like, Cal, you're not my dad, and he's like, yeah, but I'm your cousin, and I want to help you.
We're
Uh,
still family.
mhm.
And I
And
like how I like it in this. It's nice because it's also like Viv will understand, like having trouble understanding like Scarlet Witch has been through all this like synthezoid family relationship shit and trying to parse it out back in the 90s with Vision and Wonder Man.
Yeah. Aki, I have heard good things about Zub's run on Champions. I was just long gone by that point. Um, I also want to give props to the artist. I really love the way he draws a lot of they draw a lot of the expressions in this issue. Like just there's a lot of really nice close-up panels on Viv and Wanda's faces, and they feel very warm and realistic in a way that not a lot of comic art manages to sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Again, just continuing though, Scarlet Witch's costume is still fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Still the
This
best
is
version of her suit.
Yeah, and I like the casual clothes Viv is in here too.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very much like kind of a Zoomer punky gothy kind of get up, and it works for her.
But also like, oh yeah, she's a superhero and she needs to be able to run at a moment's notice.
Hmm. Uh, I will admit, I don't have a ton of notes on the backup with Wand with
Storm.
yeah, I just kind of skimmed it.
I think it's just mostly like, hey, remember, Storm is also a little magic.
Hmm. A little bit of a thing going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. I'm kind of on board with this book now, and I'm excited that we're going from this to an issue that guest stars Polaris. I think that's going to be super interesting.
Oh yeah, dealing with the siblings is gonna be fun. I I am. This is a really good book. It's also just definitely not written. Like we understand, it's a good book. We are enjoying it. It's not written for us. This is very much like a book for ladies.
Yeah. And like that's the way comics should be, I think, is like you have your demographic that you're targeting, but also it's good enough that other demographics can get into it.
Because I don't mean just because it stars women. It's more about like it's taking a very feminine approach to superheroics.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
it's dealing with emotional issues and mental issues, and it's mostly nonviolent solutions.
Mm-hmm. It's nice. It's good. It's good shit. If you like Scarlet Witch and you want her to be written well, there you go. Here you go. Here she is.
Mm-hmm.
We both read X-Force. Who is the man with the peacock tattoo?
A fucking bastard and a half, apparently.
He is an old forgotten villain.
Oh, this is a guy I was supposed to know.
Vaguely. Okay, so do you remember Genosha?
Vaguely.
Okay, Genosha was the mutant nation before it got nuked to fuck.
Uh-huh. Genosha was the island before this, right? Because there was Genosha, and then they were on Alcatraz, and then Krakoa, right?
Yeah, Alcatraz turned into Utopia.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's what it was, and then it got hit by Sentinels and everything, and then no more mutants, and blah, blah, blah. So, here's the thing. It wasn't always a mutant nation. It started off as basically Marvel's South Africa. There was a bunch of humans, and they basically kept a very apartheid relationship with mutants, keeping them as second-class citizens, keeping them as basically like a powered workforce. And the X-Men kind of helped them do a revolution and stop it. And the person who was doing a lot of the fucked up shit was a guy called the Gene Engineer.
The Gene Engineer?
Like Gene Engineer put together. Gene Engineer. And this guy is his clone.
Ah.
And he made another clone so he could have a son. And like,
yeah,
that's
that
why
was the big thing I got out of this is like, oh, this dude's Jango Fett.
And this guy is just fucking with the X-Force, and it's like, this makes so much sense. Ah.
Yeah.
If you know your X-Men lore, it's like, oh my god, the Gene Engineer? What the fuck? And I just saw so many people go like, who the fuck is this? I'm not saying, like, here's the thing.
I mean, I was more impressed just that, like, they tied back into the beginning of the book with Domino getting her memories back, finally.
Oh, that was heart-wrenching because she's just, like, going through pain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, But they're solving the issues. And I love how Omega Red is just pure sociopath.
Yeah. Him and Deadpool are like an unwitting Bulk and Skull in this book, and it's great.
Hey, buddy, what are you doing? Why are you looking at wall? You see something interesting? No.
Fuck off.
It's great. I am enjoying X-Force. Did you enjoy this issue?
I thought this issue was pretty good, though I think I would have enjoyed it more if I knew who the Gene Engineer was.
Oh, yeah. That definitely could have used, like, a flashback to Genosha.
Or like one of those old-style Marvel caption boxes. This is a reference to the Gene Engineer, who first appeared way back in blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. But basically, the Gene Engineer back in Genosha made a bunch of mutates. Which is basically putting mutant powers into humans.
Yep, making some Deadpools.
So, him doing it, like, you look at it now and you see, of course that's who the fuck you were. You've been doing that the entire time. It's just like, oh, it's good comics. It's good comics.
Yeah.
I read Legion of X.
How was that?
Heartbreaking.
Cool.
Everything is going to shit. Everyone's trying and fighting and going in a million and one directions. Nightcrawler gets saved from his bad situation by the Red Woman, who's like a goddess kind of character. Mother Righteous. And Professor Xavier
is my track name.
Professor Xavier recognizes how he fucked up with Legion, and like the beginning of the issue goes like, I know something's bad's happening, I need to go save it. But Charles, your son, the greater of mutant kind, and he walks away, and like midway through the book he's like, I can't do it. I need to help my boy. And like he goes and like he teams up with his son psychically, and like Legion's going like, you fucked up, Dad, but like we can make up from this, kind of, maybe. We just gotta solve the problem right now. Yeah, I know. And they like do a psychic blast and save, and like kind of save the day. But meanwhile, Warlock is being held up and used by Nimrod and Orcus to make like Sentinels with Krakoa. And so like a group is just fighting. It's Juggernaut, it's Marionette, who's the long lady with those powers, and it's Forget-Me-Not. Now you know Forget-Me-Not, right?
Yeah, you have explained Forget-Me-Not several times on this show.
Okay. So people who are working with them have like a little thing in their head, like they can put a thing in their ear to force them to remember Forget-Me-Not.
Mm-hmm.
No one's wearing it. So they look at him and go like, "Oh, what the fuck are you doing here? It's not safe. Get out of here." He's like, "No, you know me. I'm Forget-Me-Not. Hello, I'm working with you." "Oh, okay. Well, no, get out of here. I don't know who you are. Who the fuck are you?"
Oh.
And here's the thing. It turns out he started a relationship with Marionette.
What?
Yeah, the black lady with the long arms and legs with the gravity powers.
Uh-huh.
So he started a relationship with her, and she puts on the thing. It's like, "Oh my God, it's Abby." That's his real name. "Oh, we got to do all these things," and he's fighting tooth and nail because that's his only power, is to be forgotten. He's trying to deal with things, and like they're just going like all kind of stuff. And as they're doing the final fight, he dies, and the earpiece falls out. No one remembers. He's not
going to get brought back
because no one remembers him.
That would be fucked. Oh man.
And it's like, oh my God, it's heartbreaking because he's just like, this character's a fun guy and he's trying really hard, and it's
going to be like 3 years later and they're just going to stumble across him in the waiting room.
"Who the hell are you?" "I'm Zabi. Forget-Me-Not. Someone must have forgotten me." "Yeah, that's okay. I'm used to it.
I've just been having tea with Magneto for 3 years. It's cool.
He's quite this is all this kind of stuff. Good book. It's setting up a lot of things. Oh yeah, hey, Mother Righteous is the fourth Sinister.
Okay.
Mr. Mother.
Yeah.
Sinister is Latin for left. Righteous.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's hard. So yeah, she's gonna show up in Sins of Sinister.
Okay.
We both read Lazarus Planet Legends Reborn.
This was all right.
Yeah. I liked the individual stories.
Yeah. The Renee Montoya one seemed like just an elaborate excuse to get her back in the question gear for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine there's a lot of like Robin and Beast, or a lot of Raven and Beast Boy fans that really enjoyed that story, but to me it just kind of felt like paint by numbers for their characters.
I mean, it wasn't Beast Boy. No, it was.
Yeah, but it starts out like that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to ruin the twist for everybody.
Firestorm is fun. I like that new status quo, and also, hey, it referenced Doomsday Clock.
True. But man, I just can't be brought to give a fuck about Firestorm. The whole thing, I was just kind of like, yeah, all right. Okay.
I mean, it's a neat status quo for the character.
Mm-hmm. However, I will say the new character they introduced here, City Boy, he seems interesting. Yeah. I hope they go somewhere with him.
His power is to be communicating with the city, and it just does stuff for him.
Yeah, I hope he actually gets some mileage, that he's not just like another Sideways or something like that, because I think this is his first appearance.
Yeah. Solid little group of characters.
Mm-hmm. Little flashpoint in this event to kind of get your footing on some stuff.
Yeah. I read Moon Knight.
What epic things are happening in Moon Knight this week that I don't have time to read?
Brand new C-lister characters, new, old school C-lister Moon Knight villains
Oh boy.
show back up, and it's just like, what the fuck are you do? Like, it's great. It's just good Moon Knight shit. It's fun. He calls Blade and says like, "Hey, I have a vampire working for me. She's cool, but she needs help learning about her vampireness."
And Blade's just like, motherfucker, are you out of your goddamn mind?
Yes. Damn, I guess I'll come and help then. Like, it's good, it's fine, it's solid. It's Moon Knight. If you've been liking McKay's Moon Knight, you'll like this.
Nice.
It's good. I finished the Dark Web.
I'm sorry.
They fight Chasm. They get the scythe back. Madeline Pryor powers up and becomes Goblin Queen. Like, just full on, not just full Goblin Queen. Also, I didn't show the cover.
Yeah, I was wondering about that actually.
Yeah. Hold on. There's Moon Knight. There's Lazarus Planet. There's Legion of X.
How about that?
So they beat Chasm. He's now in limbo jail. Madeline Pryor fucking lied to the demons about what is torture, so it's actually nice and comfortable for him. Spider-Man shows up and goes like, "Hey, Ben, you think you're gonna be a good guy anytime soon?" And he just doesn't say anything and puts on the Chasm mask, and he's like, "Fuck!
Look how they massacred our boy.
Look how they massacred our boy." And then he walks out, and Madeline goes like, "Hey, we'll help him. We'll rehabilitate him. We'll get him all good and square. Let's just ignore the fact that we can easily do the same thing we did with me and Jean and help him out. Like, we could give him your memories, unless they never said that they couldn't."
Yep.
Also, it's revealed that Limbo now has an embassy in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did Ileana do anything cool?
She showed up.
Great. Fantastic job, everybody. 10 out of 10 event.
Havoc's now working at the embassy for Limbo with Madeline. Yeah, so that's what he's doing now.
Okay.
Like, he calls her Maddie, and she goes like, "Please, when we're doing official business, can you call me Madeline? And when we're alone, you can call me Maddie." He's like, "Yeah, okay." That's it. That's the story. That's what happened. What the fuck?
Spider-Man comics are bad, everybody.
They can be good. All right.
They used to be good.
Also,
we may have a bunch of
new demon bad guys for Spider-Man to fight every once in a while. Rec wraps around.
Hooray! Marvel Legends will happen.
Also, Rec Rap's not around because he got teleported in the final battle, so he's somewhere on Earth. We don't know where he's at. Same with Hollow's Eve.
Oh man, I can't wait for the Rec Rap and Hollow's Eve miniseries that's coming later this year, where they're fucking backpacking across Europe trying to get back to New York to meet up with Spider-Man.
That'd be cute. I like Rec Rap. He's the one good thing out of this whole fucking event. Also, Cyclops being imprisoned by puppies. That's cute.
Okay.
We both read Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty, number 9.
Oh god, what the fuck happened in this? I completely forgot about it.
They invade New York. That's being controlled by AIM.
Oh yeah, this is just one long action scene.
But they also don't.
Yep. There's some fuckery.
Because they did not wake up. They've been under the entire time. They've been doing this over and over again, and MODOK is just sitting there going like, "You keep doing this, you're still under my control."
Which is a great twist. Really nice little pull the rug out from under you moment. However, I did have to question, like, why is MODOK so invested in blue hair pronoun girl's characterization? Because she gets a lot of lines in this issue. And I'm like, if this was a MODOK simulation, would he even know who the fuck this girl is?
I think it's less he's simulating everything, and it's more he is controlling everyone, and everyone's in the simulation, and they have their own actions, but he's ultimately in control of everything. You know?
Fair enough. I could see that.
Yeah. Though I do fucking love the line when Nick Fury shows up to all of Captain America, like Steve Rogers' friends, and he just goes like, "Come on, kid, America needs you." Around here, we just call him Steve. Like, that's cute.
Yeah, that's cute. I also like
I like the socialist guy going like, "Have you ever thought about doing dock work?" I have not. Tell me about it.
I love the sheer comic bookiness of this 90-year-old man, the Destroyer, putting on a costume and then immediately leaping around and punching bad guys again.
It's
that
great.
was fun.
A lot of this it's a fun issue with a fun twist. It's good.
It's solid.
Yeah. I read Venom, Dark Web. Venom has actually also been a good spot, mainly because they've ignored most of what's been happening in Dark Web and just kept doing the Venom story. Miss Marvel shows up and goes like, "What the fuck are you doing, Dylan? Why are you putting a 12-year-old in a Carnage costume?" I needed help. You don't need his help. And he goes like, "I wanted to help though. I am an Osborn."
Kamala's here?
Yeah.
Nice.
She shows up and just basically goes like, "Hey, I'm like the one teenage superhero that has like her head on straight. Can you not, Dylan?" And he goes like, "No, I'm Venom. I'm Edge. My dad. The only way I can save my dad is if I kill him. Then he won't be able to like hurt himself and anyone else."
Oh my god.
Is that really the only way to save him? I don't know, maybe. Have you thought about there being another way of doing it? Fuck.
Dylan, you utter dingus.
It's great. And like, it's just it's the most edgelord on purpose great comedy writing, because he's using the Codex version of himself. So he's like long hair, 90s edgelord, sword and everything. And Kamala goes like, "Venom, we've worked together." And he goes like, "I'm not Venom. I'm Codex." And it's just like, Kamala no-sells it. It's hilarious. Bedlam does things, and it basically goes like, "Here's how Bedlam happened, so the rest of the Eddie Brock cycle can continue. Here's Dylan trying his best to stop it. Here's Normie Osborn becoming Red Goblin again." It's fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you gonna go? I also read Silver Surfer Ghostlight.
I wanted to read this. I just didn't have time this week. I actually read one of my books and then fucking fell asleep on Wednesday night, and I had to read everything else very quickly on Thursday.
Ooh. So, 99% of this issue is just a family who's moving into a house, and the problems that happen with that. The daughter's upset that she can't see her friends anymore. The parents are going like, "Yeah, but this is a great new start for us." And the daughter going like, "Yeah, I know. I'm upset." And you go like, "Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to be upset. We'll get through this together." And the daughter goes
like, fucking Transformers Earthspark?
Hold on. And the daughter
That's
goes,
kind of the whole first episode.
And the daughter goes like, "It's kind of creepy that we're living in a dead guy's house." And it's like, "Yeah, but he's been dead for he's been missing for 10 years. He's presumed dead. We don't know what happened to your uncle." All that kind of stuff. The parents are going to go out, and the daughter and the son and the grandmother, who the young boy and the grandmother have an adorable relationship because they're just geeking out over old jazz and blues.
Oh, that's neat.
Like, he's like saying like, "Oh, I'm just showing Grandma BB King." It's like, "Oh, it's cute. It's adorable. They have a connection."
Yeah.
And the parents leave, and they go like, "Oh yeah, by the way, the one thing you're not allowed to do is go in the shed." So they're a couple fucking kids, so what do?
They go in the fucking shed.
And it turns out their uncle was a super scientist.
Oh my
And they
god.
has a bunch of super science tech and all that kind of stuff. And they accidentally press a button. And then far away in the distant space, Silver Surfer goes like, the fuck was that?
My bullshit senses are tingling.
And he like literally he goes like, that's wrong, that shouldn't be happening. And he starts heading towards Earth. And he gets there and he goes to the kids and goes like, what are you doing with my old friend who I thought was dead? And that's a dude in his hand. He's been trapped in like a weird science tech thing. And I'm going like, oh, cool, they're doing a cool retcon story to Silver Surfer. No. This is like one of the very first early issues of Stan Lee's Silver Surfer solo run. He met a scientist, and in the same issue, that scientist sacrificed himself for the Silver Surfer. They're bringing him back. This is an old character.
That's cool.
And they're just turning him into a new superhero.
Yeah.
Marvel's doing the thing I want them to do more. Stop making up new bullshit. Bring back old guys. He only showed up for one issue in the 60s, but it's cool to see him back.
Yeah, that's neat. That's what we like to call long-term booking right there.
Yeah, it's good. Give it a read. Silver Surfer doesn't show up much, but the family dynamic is cute. It's not cloying. It's not ear grating. It's cute. Like you can tell they're a family that love each other, but they're having issues they got to get through.
Fair enough.
Are you gonna do? You're not gonna do. You read Rogue Sun. Tell me about it.
All right, Rogue Sun number, what the fuck is this? Rogue Sun number 10. This was an interesting issue because it's a lot of like backstory lore shit right up front, where we find out that now something has happened with Dylan's son Stone, where now he can communicate with the first Rogue Son, who dates all the way back to the Middle Ages. And they're kind of talking to each other. They have a bit of a standoffish dynamic, but the original Rogue Son is very much like, hey, I get it. I didn't like your dad either. So don't fucking worry about it. I want to help you be the best Rogue Son you can be. Let's try and figure this shit out.
So, like, his dad is just the one bad Rogue Son?
I get the feeling that his dad was just a shithead. I don't get the feeling that, like, he was the only bad Rogue Son. But, like, particularly...
He was a shit dad?
He was a shit dad. He was kind of a shitty guy. And it just so happens that Dylan's found another guy who agrees with him about his dad. But we also get a little bit of an update about Dylan's school life, about the guy who he's been kind of toting around, borderline bullying. He's like, hey, my girlfriend rejected me, so we don't have to go to the prom as a double date thing anymore. And he's like, actually, the girl you forced me into asking out is really cool, and we really like each other, so we're still gonna go. And he's like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? And the kid actually stands up to Dylan and tells him, like, look, I like this girl. I'm happy you got me together with her, so just let me fucking have this. And Dylan has to go like oh shit, I'm being the asshole here moment, which was nice to see that dynamic finally get to that point. There's also some stuff with the villain kid, just kind of building him up. His dad wakes up from his coma and is like, "Oh shit, I didn't want you to do this. Everything I was doing was to keep you away from a life like this." And he's like, "Well, I'm fucking in it now." So we're gonna see where that goes. What else? Oh yeah, because the step siblings are still interfering with Dylan's being Rogue Son and shit, like they were last issue. The stepmom is flat out like, yeah, you guys are gonna go live at your aunt's house for a while because Dylan has to be here. He has to protect the city, but I can't have you guys living together if you're gonna act like this. Which I thought was a very interesting character turn. and they introduce another new character at the end of this. There's a moment where the original Rogue Sun is like, "Hey, to get this information we need about the bad guy, we have to go visit this particular mystical figure," and it's a big last page reveal of this person we have not seen before. But they look pretty interesting, and I'm guessing we're gonna get into that character next issue. So good, solid continuation of everything going on with Rogue Sun.
Nice. You enjoying it?
Yeah.
I read Bloodline, Daughter of Blade.
I was wondering if you had read this or not. Please tell me all about this. Is it actually worthwhile?
It's solid. I can't say if it's worthwhile or not yet. The best way I can put it is it's a very first episode of a supernatural teen drama. In like the good ways. It's a young girl who's going through high school bullshit problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's having like semi issues at school. Her mom is like understanding. They're out to dinner. They get attacked by a vampire. Both her and the mom like know how to deal with the vampire, and they just kind of like stare at each other and goes like, "So we both know vampires are real." And they don't really know how to start that conversation of like, okay, we've been lying to each other. And then mom basically sits down and goes,
has Bloodline met Blade yet?
No. She doesn't even know who her father is.
Interesting.
Like, she's seen a photo of Blade and she's asked, like, is this my dad?
So he's just on this cover as clickbait then?
Oh, no, he's on at the very end. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. She's like seen a photo and she goes like, is this my dad? And she goes like, yeah, that's your dad. He was a cool guy. He just can't be in your life. Very much like, it's not that he abandoned us because he's a shitty dude. He abandoned us because of fucking vampires. Like, that's kind of what they're saying. It's like, he's not an asshole.
He was more married to his job than me.
Yeah, but I don't blame him for it, and I still appreciate and like him as a person. So basically, the daughter and the mom sit down and goes like, all right, we both know this is all about vampires and everything. And look, I promise to be very, very truthful with you, daughter. But there are some things I haven't told you. And I will tell you them, but I can't tell you them right this second. Because he needs to show up back in America. So he can tell you himself. It's implied. She doesn't say that. But like she's saying like, I will tell you everything. Just give me time and be open with me. And daughter's like, yeah, I'll be open with you. And she goes out and hunts a vampire. She does all these kind of things.
Buffy summers it up.
She has a thing with a new transfer student. And they both think they're vampires, but like they have like a miscommunication. So she may have like an ally in vampire hunting soon. And the last little bit of the book is Blade is doing something in the Vampire Nation. And he gets rid of some vampires. And he gets a call. And it's just like, all right, cool. Is the ship ready? Yes, I have a ship for you. It's kind of on the small side due to the resources I have access to. Okay, that's fine, T'Challa. I just need a way to get to Atlanta, all that kind of stuff. I have a thing I need you to do, and the last thing you see is him holding a picture of the mom. So Blade is coming to meet his daughter, like. He's
I hope you get to the next issue and it's just like a little dinghy with a motor.
But like, it's fun that he's using his Avengers connections. I don't like it that he was on the Avengers, but it's nice to see that
attention to continuity.
Yeah, attention to continuity. His daughter is solid as a character. She's fine. She's a spunky girl. She's gonna be a fun character seeing forward. I really want her in one part of this series to say some motherfucker's always trying to ice skate uphill.
Oh, yeah.
And Blade just look at her and goes like, that is one of the dumbest things you've ever said. It's just like a dumb little joke.
Girl, that is the dumbest thing anyone has ever said in my presence.
But overall, it is a good, solid book. It's good. It's good. It's good. Nice. You read Flash, 1 Minute War.
Yeah, they did a special one-shot of a bunch of short stories to fill in some 1 Minute War stuff and kind of play around with continuity. The beginning of it is the backstory of the main villains, which is a huge fucking lore dump, obviously. Just kind of going into like this was a huge like intergalactic civilization that started overpopulating and running out of energy, and so they started taking resources from other planets via the Speed Force, and their like mainly general guy was the huge force behind all of that. Like they started off having a connection to the Speed Force. Their whole military ran off of the Speed Force, but because he was the most renowned warrior in their society, he was the one chosen to be like the conduit for this new type of machine to extract resources from other planets.
So their race is
And
like, what if Zod had won?
yeah. And there's like a big moment in this where he's like, because they want him to take things to the next level of power to be able to continue their conquest, and he's like, "All right, I'll go in for another penny and for another pound with this, but I want to marry the Empress. I want to be emperor. That's the reward I want if I'm gonna do this shit for our people." And she's and like initially the guards are like about to kill him for treason, and then like the Empress gets off her throne and just walks up to him and goes, "It is agreed, Admiral." So I think that's something that's going to come back around in the main Flash book when we get more stuff with the villains.
Nice.
But then there's a little short story with a character I think was introduced during Rebirth, but I know nothing about them, and we don't hear their superhero name isn't said in this. Just their civilian name is Avery. It's like a purple male presenting tomboyish looking speedster. Just like dealing with some stuff with the 1 minute war crisis. Not really super impactful or consequential, but whatever. Um, and then there's a story that introduces Godspeed into the 1 minute war. Basically shows like he's out there, he's aware shit is going down, and he's mad somebody is fucking with the Speed Force other than him. Um, so going to be interesting to see how that ties back around. And then we get a cool flash forward story to a future where Jay West, Wally's son, is Kid Flash, and Irie West, his daughter, is the Flash, and they're dealing with these villains again. And like right in the middle of it, Gold Beetle, who looks to be some kind of descendant of Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, shows up. And she has a thing with Jay, apparently, and they haven't seen each other in years, so they have like a big romantic reunion in the middle of this big superhero battle, and it's really cute. Um, and that's pretty much it. That is everything that happens in this little special. Bunch of interesting little one shots. Obviously, I enjoyed the opening and the closing story the most, but overall, I think it's worth checking out if you're already following the 1 minute war.
Barry's the one where you can't see his eye. Not Barry. Wally's the one you can't see his eyes, right?
I think so.
So it's Wallace, Wally, Barry, Bart.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's all the books that we read this week.
Interesting that none of those guys are actually in this issue. I just realized that.
It's clickbait. But yeah, that's it for No Price Podcast. Hey, Vac, I want to tell the people where they can find your bullshit.
Oh my god, if you're still listening to this, after what that felt like a 3 hour one.
Right 2 hours, 37 minutes.
Ah, all right. Well, if you want to check out my solo work, hi, I'm Vac. I do YouTube videos talking about a variety of things. I got a video coming out this week where I'm going to be doing a full series review on Ultraman Decker did the first pass on that earlier today, actually, and I think it's coming along all right. So go subscribe at the Vacuuminator on YouTube. I might have a video on a current comics related thing coming out later this month, so you'll definitely want to get settled in and be ready to check that out when it drops. But until then, you can follow me on Twitter at the Vacuuminator, on Tumblr, thevacuuminator.tumblr.com, and on Instagram at the_vacuuminator.
Hell yeah. Hey. Howdy, howdy. I'm Modular Writer. I do a variety of content on the internet. I stream on Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, as much as I can. Some days get skipped because of a variety of reasons. I also make videos on YouTube. I make video essays and editorials, and scripted content and the like. Go follow me there. You can also find me on a variety of social medias: Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, and Instagram. Links to all of those kind of things, YouTube and Twitch included, are in the description. And this has been No Price Podcast, part of Modular Media, where we do a variety of podcast content, including but not limited to components, where we just hang around, bullshit for a little bit.
Talk about current events, interview guests.
We also have Analytical Fanboys, a monthly podcast, which is basically a book club for every type of media. The first episode is out already. You can go watch it. It's about Chainsaw Man. The second one will be at the end of this month, based on Puppet History, the web series. We also have on this channel Twit. Tell the people about Twit.
This Week in Toku is where myself and True Buster discuss all the latest news and releases from the wild world of Japanese live-action superhero special effects. It's a good time. You should check it out.
Hell yeah. And if you like this podcast, you like any of those podcasts, you want to help and support us, give us a like, give us a comment, subscribe to the channel so you can get this and more content as it comes out. In the meantime, Vac, do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the Modular Media, join the subreddit r/Modular Media, and follow us on Tumblr at Modular Media. But folks, no matter what is happening in life for the next few years, no matter what terrible, crazy things are happening in this wild world that we call home, I want you all to just hold on to hope and remember, a fucking Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie is happening, and I could not be happier.
Enough said.